You're breathing as it is in this moment. And you might follow the path of your breath kind of up towards the crown of your head and down into the extremities, into the arms and the legs. And very, very slowly, you'll start to let that breath begin to expand. So that in the expansion of your breath, you're not creating more constriction. In fact, you're looking for ease. You might even imagine that it's breath in through your skin, through your whole body, not just through the nose and the mouth. Maybe starting to constrict the back of the throat the same way you would to either fog up a mirror or whisper, so that your breath has a little bit of a sound to it, another way that it can anchor you in the senses that are happening in your body rather than without. And then take the biggest breath that you've taken yet this evening. Maybe even at the top of your inhale, one more sip of breath in, and then pause. So you're holding the breath in your lungs without causing tension in the body. And then, like there was a stopper on your breath, very slowly exhale all the way back out again. Inhale, fill up. And let's challenge the capacity of the lungs. One more sip, maybe even two if you've got it. Holding the breath, pausing, softening around the holding of your breath. And then release. Last kumbhaka, which is breath retention. Inhale. And hold. This time as you're holding, see if you can find a connection to those lower bandhas. So we're looking for the lift in the pelvic floor and the pull of the navel back towards the spine, tucking the chin down towards the chest. So now that prana, or that life force or energy, is kind of trapped in the torso. Maybe even imagine that it's kind of scrubbing out the stuck spots of energetic and tension. And then release the breath all the way back out. And then start to lengthen, reach your arms towards the space behind you, reach your toes forward. If you wanted to play some music, now is a great time. This is like a peek behind the curtains. This is how yoga teachers sculpt their classes. They're like, and now's the music moment. All right, so you're laying on your back. Your arms are reaching above your head. You're reaching your heels forward, and then you're pressing the back of your pelvis. So there's normally a little bit of an arch of your spine off of the floor. You're gonna work to press the back of the pelvis down. If you have something that you can use as a block that's not too heavy, because we are gonna switch it from hand to feet, go ahead and use that. If you don't worry about it. You can still do this same action, and it will definitely work the core. The addition of the block helps us to work the inside muscles, so the adductors in the legs and the inside of your arms. So reaching through your hands and your feet, but hands are pressing onto your block if you have them. If you don't have that block, I want you to imagine you are holding a block. So the hands are turned in to face one another. And then as you inhale, you're gonna lift your feet up, you're gonna lift the head and the shoulders up, and you're gonna place that block, whatever it is that you're holding, in between your feet. Squeeze in towards the center. Again, if you don't have something to hold on to, don't worry about it, but think about that there was something in between the feet. And then head and shoulders are gonna lower down to a hover this time. So reaching the arms up above the head, feet reaching forward but hovering, press the back of the pelvis down. Inhale, lift all the way back up again and switch. Place the block in your hands, bring the arms up above the head and shoulders stay lifted, feet come to a hover. Inhale to lift, and exhale to switch. Make it a slow and controlled movement, like you were moving through mud or water. I'm gonna come take a look. Try to find that active reach through your feet. So even if your legs can't straighten all the way, you're working in the direction of that. Still breathing. You guys look great. For 5. Breath being key. Head and shoulders relax. Looking good. 3. Really nice control, Bob. 2. Nice work. Last one. Lift up, switch, and then exhale, lower all the way back down. So head and shoulders are on the floor, arms are up above the head, and you can let the block go for now. You can kind of take a little wiggle side to side, and then we'll grab the block again. Again, if you don't have it, no big deal, but you're gonna bring yourself into legs are at a 90-degree angle. So you're stacking your knee directly over top of your hip. You're pressing the back of the pelvis down, and now you're bringing your knees close enough that you can place the block on the tops of the legs, and you're pressing with both of your hands. So try to press your knees into the block and your hands into the block. If you don't have the block, this is going to be a traditional dead bug pose. So your arms are up above the head, back of the pelvis is pressing down, okay? So either way, it's going to be the same arm and same leg to start. So right hand and right knee stay pressing. Try to keep it held up as you extend the left arm and the left leg. Press the back of your pelvis down, reach through the hand and the foot. And then bring the left hand and the left knee back together. Now the left hand holds onto the block and the right arm extends. So if you're doing this without a block, you're still finding that extension and you're just trying to keep your hip and your knee stacked. Let's take it side to side, right to left. Left arm, left leg, expand, reach. Exhale back to center and inhale to switch. For 5. Come take a look. For 4. Nice work. Oh man. Rebecca, I'm sure that with that raft of paper, this is a challenge. 3. 2. Last one. Draw both knees in. Go ahead and place the block to the side for a moment. Let your head and your shoulders lift off of the floor. Draw your knees and your nose towards one another, rounding through your spine, and then place the soles of the feet on the mat. And let's just take one quick bridge pose. Hips lift off of the floor so that you're lengthening the front of your thigh. Just keep your hands next to your sides as it is early on in the practice. And then release those hips all the way back down again. We're gonna do one more set and it's gonna be opposite arm to leg. So you're either holding up that block, that prop, and Rebecca, if that ream of paper is getting too heavy, feel free to switch back. So remember that you're working to keep your feet lifted to the height of your knees. I noticed that a couple people had their feet kind of dragging down. You want to keep that L shape. You're holding on, and this time you're going to extend through your right hand and your, that's not going to work. This worked in my mind. All right, we're gonna put the block to the side completely so that we can do opposite arm to leg. You're gonna take that right leg and extend it and left leg and extend it. Keep the right arm and the left leg extended. And then bring it back to center and switch to the opposite side. Left arm and right leg extend. Find that active reach, press the back of the pelvis down and bring it back to center. So you're making this connection across the diagonal of your body. Slow and controlled, right to left for 3, for 2. Last one, hug both knees in towards your belly, wrap your arms to the backs of your thighs this time and start to rock and roll, forward to back. 2 or 3 rocks, and on your 3rd or 4th rock, you'll cross your ankles on the floor, plant your palms, and step back so that you're in tabletop pose. We're gonna get at the core today quite a bit. Spoiler alert. All right, so spreading out your fingers. Curl those toes under, lift your knees up to a hover. We wanna make sure that we're not letting the ribs sag down, so you're sucking those bottom 2 ribs in, little squeeze in your glutes, and then look forward to the space between your hands. Now try to keep your hips as level as possible, and with your right hand, tap your left shoulder. Back to center, left hand taps right shoulder. So the weight might redistribute a little bit. If you need to bring the knees to the floor, feel free to. Slow, 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 and controlled. So less the number of times that we do this, and more that not that much of your body is moving as you tap it right to left. Yeah, that's it. Fantastic work. So recalibrating the body for 3, for 2. Nice, Tammy. Last one. Bring those knees all the way back down to the floor, and let's let that front body get a little stretch. Let your belly drop down, let your sits bones lift up. Pull your fingers isometrically back to kind of broaden across your chest and look towards the ceiling. And then exhale, round it out again, tailbone down, widening the space between your shoulders. 2 more times. Inhale, belly drops, tailbone lifts, gaze lifts, cow pose. And then exhale to round it out into cat. 2 more at your own pace. Last one. Let's find that neutral spine, so lifting those bottom 2 ribs in again. We're gonna find that cross-body connection that we were working with on our backs, but this time we're gonna take it into our tabletop pose, so it'll challenge the balance a little bit. Right arm reaches forward with the pinky edge of the hand facing down. Left leg reaches back behind you, and you're lengthening in both directions. Now, option to stay put here, or option to see if you can lift that left knee up to a hover. Woo. Curl the elbow and the knee together, and then reach it back out again. Curl the elbow and the knee together, and reach it back out. One last time, curl that elbow and the knee together, and then start to pivot to the inside of your right foot, so your hips are facing the side of the mat. It looks a little bit like side plank pose. Press the hips away from the floor, keep the contact between your right elbow and your left knee, and then unwind back to center. Ooh. Hand and knee come all the way back down to the floor. Thread the needle, take your left arm up towards the ceiling. Left arm comes underneath of your right arm. Look underneath of your right armpit, which means for most of us, we have to walk that right hand to the top of the mat. And then add a little side body stretch. Walk your right hand over to the left. Pull your right hip crease back, softening the back of your left shoulder onto the mat. One more big breath up your right side body before sliding the right hand in front of the face and then sweeping the left arm all the way up towards the ceiling. Left fingertips come all the way back down to the floor. Let's switch sides. So left arm extends forward, pinky edge of the hand facing down. Knit those bottom 2 ribs in, strong connection to your core. Right leg goes straight back behind you. Remember that that hip is facing down. Now you can keep your knee on the floor if you'd like, or if you want to make it a little bit more of a challenge, see if you can lift your right knee to a hover. It makes it a lot harder, slow movement. See if you can pull that left elbow and right knee together. And re-extend. The slower you move, the easier it's gonna be to maintain that balance. One more time, elbow and knee. And then start to pivot to the inside of your left foot. So I'm facing away from the screen, most of you probably will be as well. Press those hips up. Keep the contact between your left elbow and your right knee. Bring it back to center, re-extend, and then bring that left hand and right knee all the way back down to the floor. Thread the needle, right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Take the right arm all the way underneath of the left arm. Nice. So that right ear is resting on the floor. Then walk your left fingertips a little bit further towards the top of the mat. That arm should straighten, and you're looking underneath of the arm. Nice. Slowing down your breath. So after there's effort, we look to create that balance. Inhale, sweep that arm all the way back up again. And exhale, release your hands both all the way back down to the floor. Curl the toes under, take the sides of the waist up and back. A little bit of a creature like in your fingers. So pressing into fingertips and finger pads. Bending your knees and taking those sits bones way up towards the ceiling. Bend both of your knees so much so that they start to come down towards the floor. And then pivot to the inside of your right foot and the outside of your left foot. Inside of right foot, outside of left foot. Press those hips up and back so you're feeling a stretch on the outside of that right hip. Bring it all the way back to center. Come high on the balls of the feet. Exhale, press both heels down towards the floor. Let your legs straighten. Side number 2, knees bend. Start to drop them low towards the floor, but keep your hips up high. Rock to the inside edge of your left foot, the outside edge of your right foot. Keep driving those hips up and back. Look underneath of your left armpit. Bring it back to center. Sits bones lift way up. You're high on the balls of the feet. And then exhale, press both heels down. Straighten the legs. One more big breath in. Bend both of your knees. Exhale, walk those hands back towards your feet. So you're keeping your knees bent, but you're letting your heels come to the floor. You're at the back of the mat in that forward fold, letting your neck and your shoulders completely relax. So you're hanging in ragdoll pose. You might reach for opposite elbows and take a little sway side to side. Or you might just keep those hands on the floor. Yeah, looking good. Fantastic. Okay, release the hands all the way down to the mat and start to roll up your spine. Head and shoulders will be the last things to arrive all the way up at the top. Sweep your arms out and up, bringing your palms to press above the head, finding your Urdhva Hastasana pose. And then exhale, let your hands land in front of the heart. Samastitihi. Inhale, reach those arms up, big wide sweep. Exhale, hinge at your hips and let's fold all the way back down to the floor. Take your time, no rush. Once your hands hit the mat, walk those hands all the way forward so that you're coming into a high plank pose. We're gonna take our exploration of core and balance here to the next level. See if you can take your feet a little wider than hips width distance. So you'll take them to the width of the mat. Traction your hands and your feet towards one another, and then let your gaze go slightly forward of your hands. Squeeze your glutes, your belly, your hamstrings, all the muscles are toned. Now see if you can take your right arm forward, pinky edge of the hand facing down, and see if you can lift your left foot up. Do the best that you can. If you lose your balance, no big deal. Start over, try again. The slower you move, the easier it is to find that calibration. One more big breath in, reach. Exhale, hand and foot back down to the floor. Always the option to bring knees to the mat. We're gonna lower all the way onto our bellies. Elbows hugging tight, bring it all the way down to the floor. So turn your cheek to face your right arm. Extend your left arm out to the side of the body. And so I know you can't see this, but the arm is straight out to my side. I'm not bending it into a cactus shape, and it's 90 degrees to my torso. So I'm looking at my right arm, left arm is straight out to the side. Press into your right hand to roll onto your left side. So stretching across the front of the chest. With the option to lift your right leg and plant that right foot behind your left thigh. So now you're stretching out that front of your left collarbones, across the left shoulder. And then release all the way back to your belly. Slide your hands underneath of your shoulders, and let's press straight back up to the top of a push-up. If you wanted to transition kind of in between that, you can also press to the top of a table and then lift your knees off of the floor. So let's take side number 2. Find that calibration. Feet are walking a little wider than hips width distance, so about the width of the mat. Just gonna give you a better area to work with. And then suck your hands towards your feet towards your hands. Lift your left hand up, reach it forward, pinky edge of that hand down, and then see if you can lift your right foot up. So you're squeezing that right glute, that right hamstring, lengthening in both directions for 3, for 2, and 1. Hand to the floor, foot to the floor, elbows hug in, lower all the way down. Turn your cheek the opposite direction. So this time you're looking at your left hand. Right arm comes out to the side of the body at that 90-degree angle. Palm is planted down. Press into your left hand to roll onto your right side. So you're getting that stretch across the front of the collarbones. Maybe that top leg lifts, placing the foot behind the leg and opening the knee towards the ceiling. And then release, bring it all the way back onto your belly. Hands are underneath of your shoulders so that you can either press back to tabletop pose first or press straight up to the top of a push-up. And this time we're gonna take those hips back to downward facing dog. Now walk your hands into handprints. So you're moving your hands slightly closer to your feet. And you're gonna reach with your right hand for the outside of your left calf, ankle, or foot. You're gonna bend your right knee up into your right armpit. And then bend your right elbow to start to turn your gaze underneath of your left armpit. I know it's a lot of left to right. Yeah, you guys have it. This looks great. So there's a sense of really twisting, taking that gaze underneath of your left arm. That's beautiful, Tammy. That looks great. Nice, Shannon. All right, release. Go ahead and place both hands back to the floor. Hi, Glow. Glow's joining us. All right, walk your hands forward to handprints. Roll forward into your high plank pose. And then exhale, take it all the way down to your belly. We're gonna take it to a back bend this time, tops of the feet down, lifting up into a low cobra pose this first time. Lower all the way back down to your forehead and either press the child's pose or the top of a push-up. And take it back to downward facing dog. Inhale, take your right leg towards the sky. Keeping that hip facing down towards the floor, really squeeze your glute, your hamstring. Curl the knee in towards your chest. Start to roll forward through your spine so that your shoulders step over your wrists. Step that right foot all the way up in between your hands and let your back knee come all the way down to the floor. Press down to rise up. So your foot and your shin are moving as if they could rip them out in half. Your inner thighs are hugging in and you're lengthening fingertips towards the ceiling. Now bring your hands to the back of your head. It's going to look a little bit like you're cupping the back of your skull. And then hold your elbows in close to the sides of your face. So rather than elbows wide, we're working the triceps by bringing them in. Lift those elbows way up towards the ceiling. Tighten those lower belly muscles and start to draw a little circle on the ceiling with your elbows or your nose. But see if you can create some resistance coming from your core. This is awesome. Really nice. Taking one more big breath, really lift those elbows up high, side body long, and then exhale, release your hands down to frame your front foot. So rather than taking your right leg straight back behind you, you're gonna draw your right knee towards your right armpit. And this first time through, we're gonna do it with the knee down, and then we're gonna add the next time we come through. So you're gonna lift your left hand off of the floor and take that left arm straight out to the side body. Now place your left hand down to the floor. Take your left foot off of the mat. Right elbow and right knee stay in contact with one another, and you're lifting that right elbow and that right knee off of the floor. Nice. Bring right hand, right knee back without losing that contact, and then extend that right leg straight back behind you. Bend your right knee as if you could plant the foot on the ceiling. Lift your foot way up, traction your hands back, lean your head back, open the throat, and then exhale. Curl those left toes under and take that right leg all the way up and back. Bend the right knee, circle that right knee forward a few times. And then release your right foot all the way down to the floor. Roll forward through your spine, find your high plank pose. Walk your feet the width of the mat. Always the option if you want. So if this balancing work feels like, okay, I'm just not there yet today, left knee can come down. Otherwise, right arm and left leg extend. So opposite arm and leg. Keep pulling in with the hand and the foot that are on the mat. See if you can draw the elbow and the knee together. Left knee, right elbow. Woo! And then re-extend. Plant the hand, plant the foot. Side number 2, recalibrate. So this time, you're taking the left arm forward and the right leg back. Always the option to bring that left knee down if you need to. See if you can hug the elbow and the knee together in front of your chest. And extend it back out. Release the hand, release the foot. Option to take traditional chaturanga this time. Bring it forward, elbows hug in, lower halfway. Upward facing dog or cobra pose. And then hips roll back. Find downward facing dog. All right, left leg goes sky high. Take that left leg up towards the ceiling. And then without moving your hips, draw the knee in towards your belly. So hips stay up and back. Now roll forward through your spine and step that left foot all the way up in between your hands. Yeah, and just make sure that knee doesn't come in front of the ankle. If it does, you can shimmy that foot a little further. Nice. Adjustments, my friends. Arms sweep up, hands to the back of the head. Tight and toned through those legs. So this pull in towards center, the press down, gives you the ability to add that movement through the upper body. So you're making that little circle on the ceiling with your nose, keeping your core tight. So by doing that movement, we start to get into all of the little stabilizing muscles that are in our cores. You maybe don't necessarily get when we're doing straight up crunches. It's making our core work a little bit more dynamic. And then take one more big breath and really lift those elbows up. Start to curl into the upper back. And then exhale, release those hands down to frame your front foot. This time, take your left leg straight back behind you. Curl that left knee in towards your left elbow. Start to bring the weight over into your left hand and your left hand and right knee, and take your right arm out to the side of the body. So right arm is extended straight out to the side. Plant your right hand back to the floor. Right foot kicks off of the mat. Keep the contact between the left elbow and left knee. Open it towards the side of the room like you were doing a side plank. And then release the elbow and the knee. They never lose contact. Extend that left leg straight back behind you. Bend the knee like you could plant the foot on the ceiling, and then curl the hands back to draw the chest forward and up. Press that heel as if it could touch the ceiling. Curl your right toes under, extend your left leg up and back. Nice work. Release that left foot all the way down to the floor. Roll forward through your spine, high plank pose. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, or upward dog. And exhale those hips back. Take it to downward facing dog. Look forward to the top of the mat. Step, walk, or jump your feet to meet your hands. Find your half lift. And exhale, release to your forward fold. Inhale, arms sweep all the way out and up. Bring your palms to press above your head. And exhale, hands to heart center. Bend your knees, sink those hips low and back like you were sitting in an invisible chair. You might even imagine that you were holding a block between your thighs. Arms reach up to frame your ears. Keep bending into your right knee as you curl your left knee in towards your chest. And then reach your fingertips down towards the floor. See if you can bring your nose and your knee to touch. I want you to take those fingers and extend them all the way down. A big arch through your upper back. Right knee stays bent. Hollow body. And then step that left foot back down to the floor. Arms reach back up to frame your ears. Side number 2. Weight comes into your left leg. Curl the right knee in towards your chest. Reach your fingertips down. Hollow, hollow, hollow. It's like you're doing cat pose. Wide through the shoulder blades, belly button towards spine, maybe even your nose and your knee touch. And then step that foot all the way back down to the floor. Hips low and back. Arms reach up to frame your ears. Let's take that side to side. So it starts to move, it becomes like its own little beast. Weight comes into the right foot. Hands reach down, lift it up. Step it down, keep those hips low and back. Find your chair. Side number 2. Right to left, slow and controlled. For 3. Nice work. For 2. Beautiful. Last one. Nice. All right, release it back into your forward fold. Hands to the floor, hips lift up high. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, palms plant. Step or jump those feet back. Roll it forward into your high plank. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward dog or cobra pose. Exhale, hips back, downward facing dog. Inhale, take your right leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, curl your right knee in towards your right elbow. So we did this before with that left knee down. We're gonna take it in a different way this time. Rock to the inside of your left foot. Inside of your left foot. Pivot your hips, but keep that right knee lifted towards your right elbow. Press your hips forward, squeeze your glutes, left arm is up. Keep that knee where it is. Left hand comes down. Rock to the outside edge of your left foot. And you're gonna extend up through your right hand and your right knee. Now draw your right elbow and your right knee together. Ooh. Bring it forward. Plant your right hand back down again without losing the contact between the knee and your arm. And then extend that right leg all the way up and back. Nice work. I know this is a tough practice. Step that right foot all the way through to the space between your hands. This time let's come to high lunge pose. So bending into your front knee. Arms will reach all the way up to frame your ears. Scissoring inner thighs towards one another, firming up your back leg. Hands come to the back of your head here. Elbows up towards the ceiling. It's a little bit more of a challenge, so that action has to be small, but you're making that little circle with your nose on the sky. So really squeeze those legs towards one another, press down into your feet to create the balance. Nice. All right. Take one last breath, really lift those elbows way up towards the sky, adding a little bit more of a back bend. And then exhale, release your hands all the way down to frame your front foot. Step your right leg back. Maybe this time that right foot stays lifted as you move through your vinyasa. Take it high to low. Finding your back bend. And then hips back to downward facing dog. Inhale, take your left leg up towards the sky. Exhale, hug that left knee towards the left elbow. So here's where we take our side plank variation. So keep that knee as high as you can get it, rock to the inside of your right foot, and extend your right arm up towards the sky. Keep lifting that knee in towards the armpit. Drive your hips forward, your belly in. Woo. Don't lose that contact between the knee and the elbow. Right hand down, rock to the outside of that right foot, and extend the left arm up. Now bring the elbow and the knee to touch. Squeeze, bring it forward. Don't lose the contact between your knee and your elbow. Plant your left hand back down again, and then extend your left leg sky high. Left foot steps all the way up in between your hands. We're gonna come into that high lunge pose. Hands to the back of the head. Scissor those inner thighs. Squeeze, especially your right glute, as you bend into your left knee. And then see if you can make those little circles on the ceiling. Really press that left big toe into the floor. It's gonna help. Finding the balance. And if you lose it, it's no big deal. Last big breath, lift those elbows way up towards the sky. And then exhale, release your hands down to frame your front foot. Take that left leg straight back behind you. Maybe you're taking a one or a two-legged chaturanga. Remember, you can always skip vinyasa if you want, but we're gonna meet in downward facing dog. All right. From downward facing dog, looking forward, step, walk, hop. However you want it to get to the top of the mat, find your half lifts, and exhale, release to your forward folds. Inhale to Utkatasana pose, hips sink low and back, your chair, arms sweep up to frame your ears, and then rise all the way to stand. Maybe add a back bend, hips forward, elbows bend, chest lifts. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, hands to heart center. So a clarification, I noticed last time around that when we were working, because we're gonna do it again, when we were from our chair pose into that reach, we're actually not catching the foot. So if you see what's happening here, I'm curling that knee in towards my chest and I'm reaching my fingertips down towards the floor. So I'm working to use my core rather than using my hands. And that'll give you the ability to go side to side without having to take the time to catch the foot. And then we'll add that head to knee pose at the very end, okay? So knees bend, hips sink low and back. And you're gonna reach your fingertips down towards the floor. Now left knee stays bent and you're curling that knee in towards your chest. Upper back is wide, hands aren't touching the foot. It's like they were gonna threaten to do so. And then step that foot down, hips low and back, arms up towards the sky. Now we start to walk this side to side. Try to do it without letting that standing leg straighten and try to keep that hip drawing in towards center line. Walking it right to left. You can really pull that belly button back towards the spine. Last one. Next time that left knee is in towards your chest, now you can interlace those fingers around the bottom of the foot. And this might be it. You might be just resting with your thigh on the top of your chest or your chest on your thigh. Still more, starting to extend that leg forward. Now you're keeping your chest low, but your gaze forward, and your elbows are hugging in tight towards the sides of the leg. Standing leg goes strong now. So right knee is straight, top of your right thigh is engaged. Maybe you're even bringing your forehead down towards your foot. Breathing for 3. Breathing for 2. Nice work. On 1, draw that knee back in towards your chest. Sweep your arms all the way back up. And then you're gonna take that left leg straight back behind you for Warrior 3. So as your chest tilts forward, that left leg is going straight back behind you. You're lifting the foot up to the height of the hip and then working to keep your hips so that they're facing down towards the floor. Now extend your arms forward, kind of like what we were doing at the beginning of our practice when we were holding onto that block. I want you to imagine that you were holding an invisible block between your hands. You've got this. Really nice form, Bob. That looks great. Tammy too, nice control. You're gonna take a slow step back with that left foot. So you're landing in your high lunge pose. Arms reaching up to frame your ears. Strong, sturdy back leg. Turn that back foot out, find Warrior 2 pose. Arms reaching towards the front and the back of the room. Nice deep bend in your front knee. Taking a steady gaze over your front middle finger. Nice. So remember that back leg is straight and strong in warrior two. Yeah. All right, let's revolve our warrior. So from your warrior two, back hand lowers, right palm flips face up. Let that straighten your front leg and then start to sink it all the way to the back of the mat. Arms reach forward, right toes up towards the sky. Dropping the pelvis low towards the ground, but keeping an active flex of your right toes. Now walk your hands forward to frame that right foot. Hips are facing the top of the mat now. Draw that right knee in towards your right armpit. We're gonna do it again. Rock to the inside of that left foot. Left arm lifts. Place the left hand all the way back down again. Rock to the outside of your left foot. Keep the contact between your right knee and your right elbow. Bring it all the way forward. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then skate your right leg over to the left. Pinky edge of that right foot is on the floor. Lower your forearms down to the mat. Pull your hands back towards your elbows. Look forward. Squeeze those inner thighs together. Hips stay up. One more big breath in. And then exhale. Let that bottom hip lower all the way down. So this is a modification of pigeon pose. Right leg is straight out to the side of the body. You're rolling your left hip forward and you're tractioning your hands back towards your chest to open that front body. We're not splatting completely on the floor. I want you to find a little bit of a sense of hugging in to stay active. All right. Left toes curl under, and you're gonna lift that right hip. We're gonna come to a forearm plank. So step that right foot over, back to where it was, and very, very slowly, you're gonna lower first the tops of your feet, and then your ankles, shins, knees, and hips to the floor. So you're in Sphinx pose. But as promised, this is a core practice today, so we're not staying for long. We're gonna come out the opposite way. You're gonna lift your hips, the tops of your thighs, squeeze and lift your knees, lift your calves so that it's just the tops of your feet on the floor. So toes aren't curled under. Traction your hands back to draw your chest forward. Squeeze all those muscles, tighten towards the bone, still breathing. And then lower the shin bones, the knees, tops of the thighs, hips, creases, all the way down. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Press into the toes. Start to lift the hips. So you're starting to get that hollow body. Lift the tops of the thighs, lift the knees. Lift the calves, hold and breathe. I'm dying with you, I promise. And then lower your shins, your knees, your hips, all the way back down. You've got 1 more. Hips lift, thighs lift, knees lift, calves lift. Round and hold for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Slow and controlled, bring it all the way back down again. Bring your hands underneath of your shoulders. Let's press it back to child's pose for a moment, knees wide, letting your belly rest in between your thighs, letting your forehead come to the floor, and letting it really open up your front body. You might even pop up onto your fingertips here. Taking a little wag of your hips right to left, left to right. And then if you wanted to take a vinyasa, go for it. We're gonna meet in downward facing dog. All right, let's look forward to the top of the mat. Step, walk, jump the feet to meet your hands. Find your half lift. And exhale, release to your forward folds. Inhale, arms sweep all the way out and up. Bring your palms to press. And exhale, hands to heart center. Second side. Hips sink low and back. Let's find Utkatasana pose. Arms reach up to frame the ears. Exhale, curling left knee in, fingertips towards the floor. Remember that we're not holding onto the foot yet. And then step it back down again, get low. Really work those quads and those glutes. Side to side, your own pace. I want you to guys almost to imagine like a sucker punch sensation in that lower belly as you draw that knee in. So the more that you forcefully pull the belly button towards the spine, the more we're building that deep, deep lower belly strength. Nice work. Next time you step that left foot to the floor, hug that right knee up towards your chest, straighten your left leg, and see if you can interlace your fingers around the bottom of the foot. And this is a great place to work. Just standing upright, keeping that contact. Still more, start to straighten that leg out in front of you. Elbows hug in, belly hugs in, and you're working to bring that chest down towards your shin or your knee. Breathing for 3. Pressing the foot into the hand into the foot. 2. Nice, Rebecca. Last one, draw that knee back into your chest. Extend those arms all the way up. And then let's take that leg straight back behind us. So finding our warrior 3 pose. So that right leg goes back, chest goes forward. See if you can level it off. So you're working to lift your right foot up to the height of your right hip, but the right hip is facing down. Left hip crease draws back as your chest goes forward. Then you're gonna take that giant step back. So you're gonna land in your lunge. Right toes go way, way back so that your front knee doesn't come in front of the ankle. Arms sweep up to frame your ears. Nice long side body as you reach up towards the sky. Exhale to warrior 2. Back foot spins out. Arms reach towards the front and the back of the mat. So that back foot spins out at an angle. Front knee is bent, so it's facing directly over the center of your toes. All right, looking great. That looks really nice, Shannon. We're gonna revolve here. So that right hand drops to right thigh. Left arm reaches up towards the ceiling. And you're gonna start to straighten that left leg. And as you straighten your left leg, you're gonna sweep towards the back of the mat. So you're coming down into your Skandasana pose. So left toes go up towards the sky. You might have hands in front of the chest. You might have hands on the floor. Whatever option is allowing you to stay upright. Active flex of left toes towards the ceiling, and you're dropping the pelvis down, which is going to give you more of that groin stretch. Start to walk both hands to frame your left foot. So we're going on a little ride to come back into a low lunge with the hands framing that left leg. Draw your left knee in towards your left armpit. Rock to the inside of your right foot and extend your right arm up. Bring the right hand all the way back down to the floor, opposite way. Rock to the outside of your right foot. Left elbow and left knee. Left arm extends up. All right, bring the elbow and the knee back together. Plant your left palm down to the floor and then skate that left foot all the way through to the right side of the mat. So the left leg is straight, it's at hip height, looking forward. Lowering your forearms down to the floor. And then lowering that left hip all the way down to the mat. So the further up you move your left foot towards the top of the mat, the more sensation you'll get. Same thing with the reach through your left heel. Now turn your right hip to face forward and pull your hands towards your chest. That's going to activate it even more. Press down into your forearms, press to the pinky edge of that left foot, lift your left hip, and then slide your left foot back to the back of the mat. So you're in your forearm plank. Holding and breathing for 3. For 2. And on 1, let your hips come all the way down to the floor. Let's make this one a little bit more of a back bend. So walk your hands so that they're facing the corner edges of your mat. Walk your feet the width of your mat as well. So you've got a wider stance with your legs. Press all 10 of your toenails down and then start to lift your elbows off of the floor. Traction your hands back to draw your chest forward and then lean the head back. I want you to still have a sense of your belly as you curl up. And then go ahead and bring those forearms all the way back down to the mat. Go ahead and lower all the way down onto your forehead, taking a few breaths, just letting your whole body rest on the floor. And then start to walk your hands back towards your legs to roll yourself into a seated position. So coming to a kneeling position if that's comfortable for you. All right, so just an opportunity to play with a little bit of arm balancing for today. We've done a lot to really tighten the core, and we did a little bit to work to open the upper body. So there's 2 stages to this. It's super fun. One of my favorite teachers teaches this. It's called baby crow and then teenage crow. So baby crow is kind of fun because it's challenging, but it's not as scary as crow can be, where you're at the ground already, so there's nowhere to fall. So baby crow, you've got your forearms on the floor, and you're gonna come into a squat. So your forearms are down, and you're working to bring your knees onto the outsides of your triceps. Now I'm looking forward, and I'm really pressing my knees onto the backs of my arms, and I'm squeezing. And then I'm gonna start to bring my weight forward, and I'm gonna see if I can bring my toes to touch. So I know you can barely tell this from there, but my face isn't touching the floor. I'm about 2 inches away, and I'm bringing my feet off of the mat. So I'll talk you through it again. Forearms are down. You're gonna come into, and if it's easier, you can come into your squat first with your knees so that they can come to the backs of your triceps. Now lean forward, look forward. This is the hardest part, is that you have to stay kind of open through your chest. Press and squeeze, so those knees are really pulling onto those arms. And we've got that hollow body, so you know all that stuff we worked on with that rounded upper back? It's basically like putting that on top of your arm balance, like a turtle shell. Squeeze and lift the toes, and see if you can bring your ankles to touch. Nice, Bob, that looks good. I can't see everybody, I can see like the tops of people's heads, so I'm just gonna say you all got it, it was amazing. So the next one is actually kind of a little bit easier. I think it's like a little discombobulating because it's asymmetrical. So for the next one, you've got one forearm down and you've got one hand up. So we'll start with left forearm down and right hand on the floor. Now the first thing, you'll notice that I'm lining up my elbow and my hand. So instead of hand in hand, I'm coming towards the back because that's where the fulcrum point is in the posture. And then from here, I'm gonna climb that knee onto the back of the arm and the other knee onto the outside of the tricep. And I'm gonna press down, keeping those elbows hugging in, seeing if I can lift my toes off of the floor. So it's one forearm down, one hand down, and it's an asymmetrical pose. Yes. Yeah, and if you do one side, you've got to try both. So normally one side's a little easier than the other. You know, if you've got a dominant arm that you're always using, I find that arm is easier in the traditional variation of crow. All right, give it one more try if you're working on it, whatever you're playing with here. I see a lot of butt staying in the air, and that tells me that you guys are holding it, so. No. Rebecca says no. All right, let's bring it all the way down to the mat. Come into a seated position. Let's give those arms a little rest. They've done quite a bit for us today too. The core might have been the center of attention, but. So you're interlacing your fingers and sending those arms up towards the sky, palms towards the ceiling. Curl open through that upper back, through your chest, and then exhale, let your hands release all the way down next to your sides. One more time, sweep those arms up, interlace the fingers, press the palms towards the sky, move the arm bones back, the elbows in, reach, reach, reach from the strength of your lower belly, and then exhale, release the hands all the way down onto the tops of your thighs. Bring the soles of the feet to the floor, and we're gonna slowly bring it all the way down onto the mat. So coming all the way down into just preparation for a back bend. Feet walk in so that they're touching. Maybe the middle finger can just barely graze the back of your heel, but you're working to line up your knees and your ankles. And you're gonna press down to start to roll one vertebra at a time up and off of the mat. And you're keeping that gaze straight up towards the ceiling, pressing the back of the head into the floor. Maybe working those arms underneath of the back, interlacing your fingers and reaching your knuckles towards your heels. We really want to work to roll the chest up. So we're focusing this on opening the upper back, which is the least flexible part of our spine by design, but most of us have plenty of mobility in the lower back. It's the upper back that we're working to create mobility in. Last big breath. Exhale, hands release. Let those hips lower all the way back down to the floor. Curl your knees in towards your chest and wrap your arms around your shins. And this one can be really loose and easy. So instead of working your core a lot here, let your belly soften. Let the crease at the front of your thigh soften. And stir the pot in one direction and then the other. And then let your arms fall out to the sides of the body in the shape of a cactus or a T. Planting your toes on the floor, you might scoot your right hip towards the center of the mat so that you can let both knees drop to the right. So right hip is underneath of you. The knees are stacked and both shoulders are down. Now, if that left shoulder is lifting for you, press the back of the head into the mat and then lift both of your shoulder blades and scoot them over towards the right. It will actually help to recenter your ribs. If you want, you can even use your right hand to pull your left knee over. Now lengthen the sides of your pelvis towards the top of your mat, which is going to give your lower back a little bit more space. It's going to activate the front of your body, the front of your core, and then take your gaze in the direction of your left arm. Deep breath in and really focus some attention on your exhale. So that exhale gives you the ability to soften and relax, to let the body be heavy, no longer effortful. Draw your knees all the way back up to center. Place the toes on the floor so that you can scoot that left hip underneath of you. It's kind of scooting the left hip towards the center of your mat. Knees drop to the left, head turns to the right. Remember that we're looking to create that stability and the action of upper and lower body twisting equally. So if your shoulder is lifted, press into the back of your head and scoot both shoulder blades. It's like you're lifting the whole upper part of your rib cage and scooting it over to the left. And you'll notice that that gives you a little bit more grounding. And then bring the legs back to center. Final posture before we settle into a little bit of rest is going to be happy baby pose. So feet up towards the sky, bending your knees down towards your armpits and working to catch either the outer edges of your calves, your ankles, or your feet. And pressing those knees down wide as you maybe take a little rock side to side. And you might extend the legs out long on the floor. So if you'd like to practice a traditional Shavasana, feel free to lay down on your back and to remain still. I'm going to teach a style of breath work, which will also focus on that kind of lower belly region. It's a calming breath. It's kind of a little bit of both. It's like a balancing breath. So it creates a sense of calm, but also a sense of potential energy in the body. And it's called 12-fold belly breathing. You can do it lying down, but if you're doing it, you're gonna have the soles of the feet on the floor. And to start with, we bring a medium to full inhale into the belly. So paying attention to the fact that we're not just breathing into the chest, you're letting it drop down. And as you drop that breath down into your belly, it's gonna be a little bit of a pelvic rock. So there's gonna be an arch of your spine off of the floor, tip of your tailbone pressing down into the mat. And then your exhale is going to be a little bit more forceful. It's out through your nose, but you're pulling your belly button back and up until you're empty, empty, empty. That there's a sense of making there like a hollow where your belly is. And as you do that, you're pressing the back of your pelvis down into the floor. So there's a strong contact between your pelvis and the ground. Inhale, medium to full, rocking onto the tailbone, lifting the lower back off of the mat. And then exhale, 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 press, 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 press. A little pause at the bottom, holding the breath out of the body. So we're gonna do that 10 more times, and I'll count. If you finish before me, just keep going. Try to let your upper body stay relaxed. Because there is a fair amount of vigor in what we're doing for the lower belly, you might notice that you wanna clench your teeth or squint your eyes or lift your shoulders up. Upper body is as easeful as possible. So you're only applying the amount of vigor that you can keep that ease in your body. Keep going. At the bottom of the exhale, paying attention to a little bit of a lift in your bandhas. So that pelvic floor, the muscles that you use to hold the bladder, and the lower belly pulling back. Excuse me. Keep going. Try to keep your mind in your body. So really feeling into the sensations that are happening. 2 more. This last one, let's do all together. Take that nice big breath in. Exhale all the way out. Exhale, exhale, exhale. And at the bottom, pause. Tuck your chin to your chest. Lift the muscles of the bladder. Pull the navel towards the spine. Holding the breath out of the body. Be in your body. And then release. Finding your normal breath. Excuse me. And let's come to a seated position. Taking your time to transition all the way up. Keeping your eyes closed. And if you practice the breath work, really kind of feeling into, there's almost like a wavering, an electricity to the space of the body, and yet there's a stillness. It's like a pregnant pause. Bring the palms together in front of the chest and then lift your thumb knuckles up to your third eye center and just very gently fold forward over your mat. That all of the little nuggets and kernels of experience that hopefully lead us into discoveries both on and off the mat, that all beings can experience the benefits of this practice through your senses in that way.